I am an ideally flawed teacher for this work to reach a global community. I am honored and overjoyed to see you guys today. I am excited by where this is going, as much as I see it, and beyond that, what I feel. I am willing to surrender more deeply the resistances I've been manifesting into a trust that my own prayers and the guidance of this Dharma is yes, is yes. I am so appreciative to you for being here, for trusting this, for helping to get us this far, and for being ready to go to the next level. I am really, really, really thrilled to tune in to the blessedness of the flowering of a new world. I am in grief at the deaths that are occurring. I am in prayer that the fires dampen down. I am in prayer that the fires dampen down. I am in prayer that the fires dampen down. I am in trust that the essence of the land is being cleansed. I am in trust that new life springs in transformational ecosystems. I am in prayer that I can participate in this new life. I am in prayer that the individual human beings who are responsible for the devastation that have set the stage for terrible environmental destruction lose their influence. And that human beings with full hearts in tune with the earth become powerful in the ways of the world, in the ways of humans, to manage and be present for the healing choices of the future, of the lands that are in pain, the waterways that are poisoned. I am in trust that the work we do here together is the best and the most important work we can do to inspire each other to be a blessed part of the flowering of the new. I am in love. Angie, welcome here. Trevor, thank you for being here. Laura, good morning to you. Misty, Kinsey, Sarah, Tom, thank you all for being here. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for getting ready to take this to the next level. This is the last week we will be offering the legacy membership to the sanctuary. For those of you who don't know, the sanctuary is our online space. It connects us together in very special ways. It's growing, it's learning, and it's got a long way to go. Everyone who's in, I'm going to talk with you there about choosing to get, we have little badges we could give to be a welcomer, like a mentor to anyone coming in. Because when we announce this, it's still in beta at the moment. When we announce this to other people, I really want to create a rhythm of saying hello, of welcoming people, guiding them to respect, understand, appreciate, feel trusted, feel loved, feel cared for, feel safe, feel inspired. We are already in so much sync, like the special synchronicities that I share with many of you are just little tiny seeds of the potential that we can create together. And numbers do matter, like we can take something to the next level with, I see a threshold of 250, like up to there, maybe like between 150 and 250. There's like a power in that will enable things that I think beyond that point, we will dream differently. And within it is the sense of like, it actually gets easier to do your practice because we're reinforcing something together. This already works. I have never in my life had as easy a time doing practices. And it has everything to do with you guys. When we share trust, we're tuning with each other. And that tuning reinforces itself, meaning when you get down to do your practice, there's less resistance. It's real. So there's great value in praying for more and seeing out into the world and saying, hey, there's some beautiful people out there ready to join with us and create something broader, bigger, and deeper. Bring it. Bring it. And with that in mind, we're going to start with a prayer. This is active. Heart. I invite you to tune in with me to your heart. Sway your way out, ground your feet, breathe with awareness here. Wild breathing. Every moment a choice. Do you want to go deeper? Do you want to pause and exhale? Want to slow the pace or speed it up? What brings you into deeper attunement with your heart? And there's no right answer here that extends beyond us all. This is unique to you in each moment. One breath deep, one breath shallow. Gradually you find a rhythm that fills the hollow, that fills an emptiness, teaches you that you've been emptying out your vessel to be full of love. I pray that we bring together the essence we share with greater trust. Sensing the presence of people who already want and need the inspiration and healing of this. We are in tune with the spirit of the earth that gives us a special, unique calling. And that is more magical and colorful than we can know yet. It reaches beyond the boundaries of our mind. I like that. Aho. Today, and forgive me, Sarah, I mispronounced your name. Today, I'm going to talk with you about migraines, headaches, spiritual pain. Minty, thank you for being here. Last week, I made a yoga for migraines. I've been really scared to make this. The responsibility has been kind of intense. I wanted it to be good so badly because I've wrestled with what I've known as migraines since I was a child. And I actually used to get migraines in my knees. And then, it felt just like a migraine, but in my knee. And then it changed to be in the head when I got older. There are some foundations of understanding that have brought me to the point where for the past several years, I often have amazing experiences. ecstatic, transformational, cleansing, visionary. It's the same foundation. It's the same basic experience. So I'm living through something and I'm like, oh my God, this is what I used to call pain. I used to identify it as pain. And because I identified it as pain, a fairly substantial part of myself would say, stop it, cut it out. How many of you get migraines or bad headaches, anything in between? I'd love to hear from you now or in the comments. Anything, tell your stories, visit the sanctuary and go deeper. This is a theme. It's time to explore together. All right. Fine. I'm nervous and they're ready. So here we go. When I give this to you, it's like sacred knowledge. You use this, it unlocks things that are their own challenge. Some of you are going through incredible transformations right now, and I'm very impressed and inspired by the degree to which you're owning it. You're taking responsibility for it. If I was with you and I was holding space as a teacher through a particular level of expectations, I'd say I would probably feel even more like responsible if anyone goes through pain or confusion. The reality is I went through a lot of shit on my own, so there was no one really to blame. One of my biggest disasters in life, I did experience in the presence of a teacher in relation to that teacher. And it took me a long time to stop blaming him in my head. And it's been a crucial threshold that I'm going to the next level of recently, where I'm like, no, I make my choices and I deal with my karma. And when that karma comes up in relation to other people, it's still mine. This is a crucial foundation. And I say this not as a disclaimer. You blame me, I'll wrestle with you. People blame me for years. Well, we can wrestle if that's what you need at the time. And the reality is the act of conceiving of something is the basis of your power. So the way you conceptualize whatever challenge you're in, it's like the palette on which everything else opens. And there's a dynamic that's like this. Now this looks like a wall. It's not a wall. Looks like a wall. It's not a wall. So this is where, people talk about going to the fifth dimension, blah, 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 blah. You don't go anywhere. You open a depth. When you don't see any dimension, don't talk about numbers. When you don't see any dimension, anything in that dimension that you look at looks like this. As you gain depth, you see these spaces. So you gain the opportunity to walk around the walls and get into spaces that you couldn't get at all. So effectively, the ability to see in more dimension reveals the way to get into worlds that were. It's a big deal. So when I give you this, that's what happens. Now, the fact of the matter is, you're suffering. You're suffering. I want to hear more. Like, speak up. Several of you are not saying it. Who feels this? Say it. Say it. Talk about it. Share about it, because the act of speaking it helps us see you, locate you, and give you strength and support. Several basic principles to understand. This is the hardest one. The fundamental thing that's happening is good. There is a process of bringing life force energy into your system that is crucial. That life force energy enlivens everything in you. When everything in you is enlivened, a wide range of stimuli pass the threshold into feeling. This is simple. Now watch this. Feel your foot. You can't feel it? Squeeze it. Crinkle your toes. Crinkle them a little harder. Squeeze them. If your foot's in a shoe, push down on the floor. Do something so your feeling is focused on your foot. Now, this might not sound evolutionary, but just stay with me. You can feel your foot and completely ignore your heart. While you're feeling your foot, you don't feel your heart. Well, you feel your heart. I mean, your heart's here. It's doing stuff. It's beating all the time. It's cold in the air. You can feel the cold. There are all sorts of stimuli. How is it even possible to choose to focus on something and feel that? In order for something to cross a threshold into your ability to feel, it has to cross a threshold. And 50% of that, like think of it as half of that, is your focus. So there are two ways that something comes into your awareness. One, it gets amplified from within. The other, you choose to focus on it. Both of these processes amplify a sensation. Now, if my foot is hurting because I slammed it and bruised it, I don't have to focus on it initially for it to reach into my consciousness and force me to focus on it. And then the quickening happens. The quickening is the name I want you to really become familiar with. I don't repeat it enough. The quickening is an experience of energy taking you to the next level. And the principle is that two ways of seeing this dimensionally. One, like a Kundalini awakening. But please understand, people identify Kundalini awakening as like the first time it happens. The reality is the first time is crucial because it like purges things. But then every time more energy flows through you is a quickening. These quickenings take everything in you up a notch. Utterly beautiful, absolutely exquisite, totally terrified, absolutely awful, very painful. Now, why is it painful? The pain, this is the second principle I want you have to embrace, all right? The first is the quickening. The second is pain is not a thing. Pain is not a thing. Pain is a contrast between two things. Now, on the simple level, if I poke you with a knife, that's the contrast between the knife and your reality. Okay, so that's obvious. You want to get rid of the knife. But the knife is not pain. The knife is inflicting pain. I know that might sound obvious, but start here. Next. Everything in you has a spiritual presence. Everything, every thought, every feeling has a resonant, energetic presence. To deconstruct that is to identify the union of electric and magnetic. Electric forces carry thoughts and their form. Magnetic forces carry feeling, both emotional and resonant. So you sense it. The unity of this, the electric and magnetic dance, the way electrical thoughts form and guide magnetic forces, is what we end up experiencing as energetics. Now, it's not as simple as electricity and magnetism. We're not reducing spirituality to that. Electricity and magnetism are just a slice of this broader, deeper experience, but they're a very useful slice. So when you are experiencing a quickening, everything gets amplified, including things that contradict. So the presence to say, this is an opportunity, is utterly crucial. This is where it's really hard. Because there's a voice in you that's very sane that says, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. This hurts, cut out. I want it to be over. You have to master that. It sucks. And I'm telling you, offering, inviting. If you can learn to say, I now have an opportunity to see the forces that are always in me in greater contrast, then you can use this time to make the changes you need. Several weeks ago, a couple months ago, I went through a very ridiculous migraine. So confusing. And I meditated into it and I identified the contrasting forces. And in that contrast were perfectly legitimate paths. Several entirely legitimate paths. And I had to stay there in my pain and come to terms with how I was relating to the options that were available to me. And the simple resting place to begin was I wasn't making clear choices. And in the act of not making clear choices, I was allowing several different contradictory vibrations to live inside me at the same time. And that contrast created pain. Couple more steps, and then we're going to shift into questions because I'm tired of being so I share too much knowledge at once often, and I'd like to deepen the knowledge we do share in incredible gratitude for the patience that those of you who are here have had with me at this style. Energy. Physicality and mental ideas can be understood in a simple form as 3 different wavelengths. It's all energy. Mental ideas are energetic vibrations. Physical presence, your body, is actually just dense energy. And spiritual resonance that you feel is also a different vibration of energy. Now, keep it this simple for now. Here's the idea. You can focus intently on changing your body. You can do a lot of exercises. Do that over and over and over and over again. And your physical form will begin resonating in a way that influences your mind. So, along with all the chemical reactions and how they affect you, which are the mechanism by which this occurs on the physical plane, you can respect the fact that by changing your body, you change the rhythm of your mind. You are essentially asserting a rhythm physically that ends up presencing itself in your mental space. Same thing with spirit. If you focus intently on spirit, just like when you focus on your foot, you are magnetizing and amplifying your own power into the spiritual layer of reality. As you do that, spirit resonates more intently, and your mind and your body will draw in the direction that you are emphasizing and focusing. It's so beautiful how this works. So you could be in this space of pain. And this pain, it's so hard to embrace this. This pain becomes your ally. No, this is not sadomasochistic. Yes, you are absolutely encouraged to want this pain to be over. The pain is helping you focus. And then you ask, how do I change? So this is the conclusion layer. All you have to trust is these three principles. The first principle is that there's a quickening happening. The second principle is that pain is the contrast between these two forces. The quickening has amplified multiple forces within you, and those forces are in contrast, resistant to each other. Third principle is, what do you need to let go of, and what are you ready to become? When you trust this, an immediate positivity is present. You're trusting that the pain is helping you tune in to the contrast which exposes your potential. If you succumb to the very understandable, please stop this, please stop this, stop this, please stop this, stop this, you know what you have the most influence over? The quickening itself. So you'll turn it all off. You'll turn it all down. Your potential and your weakness, your failures, your flaws, your addiction to the past, your lack of clarity on what you're praying for, your lack of coherence between different aspects of yourself. You'll just turn it all down and numb. And in that numbness, you won't feel as much pain, but nothing essential is changed. That's what you have to respect. That there's a great deal of power that lives beneath the surface of the threshold that enables you to feel it. It's your ability to feel it that enables you to tune in much more acutely. You don't know how to find a lot of these forces. Once they're amplified by the quickening, you feel it. Once you feel it, you can work with it. Once you can work with it, you're put in this position. This is an opportunity to identify what it's time to let go of and identify what it's time to embrace. So here's what I found. I have had what felt like a unified sense of going forward. And I went into the pain and identified that there was a contrast between something that is fundamentally, now stay with me here, something that is fundamentally egoic. Now, I believe what I'm about to decode explains a lot of people who you'd call arrogant and egoic. By embracing it as it is, I've had a fundamentally different relationship. Basically, I have a life path that's confusing and interesting. I had expectations that were here when I was younger. I have had a desire to succeed in a way that helps make sense of my past, helps make coherence out of the pain and loss and failure of not living up to who I wanted to be. So I've wanted success for some of the wrong reasons. That presence, it's egoic. It's an idea about my understanding of myself. Now, there's nothing wrong with ego, but this isn't a healthy ego. Needing to wrestle with my past is not a real need. I could let my past go and be present in what's possible now, but I haven't done that fully. And because I haven't done that fully, the presence of my past is still a voice saying, you need to prove yourself to your high school friends because they're all doctors and lawyers now. This has no place. This is no place. And as long as I allowed it to live, I couldn't step forward. I couldn't own it. I couldn't be present with what's actually possible. So it works like this. You come up with very clear and precise statements. So powerful. Amidst the quickening, you come up with clear prayers. And I made one. I said, I let go of any unhealthy, needy desire to be famous for no reason at all. And I surrender to the true heart of this calling. And it's just feeling the joy. And it's feeling the joy of wanting to reach out to other people who suffer in the ways that many of us do, and reach out to them in community, in kindness, in hope, in flowering, saying, hey, wildflowers, you're out there. We know you're there. We know you're out of place. We know you don't know how to tune in with your community. We know people doubt you. We know people think that you're not sane, that you're not living up to your expectations, that you're something, that you're chaotic, that you're confusing. And we see beneath that, we see the joy in you. We see the freedom in the wild flowing spirit that's alive in you. We know your anxiety and bipolar understanding and this are simply symptoms of a deeper misplaced spirit yearning to come to life in a world that often doesn't connect you with other people like you. And hey, maybe you found us. I like that dream. I like this very much. I like it very much. It's true. And my migraine disappeared. And you know what I got? For real. Crazy as shit. Raise your rates. And I did. It's done. And that made very little sense to me until I embraced the fact that by aiming to be successful in this way, there are more resources to pay people to help, to create the foundations, to spread the word. There's more of a drive to invite and encourage people to do group sessions, which we're going to start advertising. There's more of a need and a place to accept people who can pay more, because that ends up funding situations that reach out to create space for more individuals to join in groups. It all fits. And as long as I remove my misplaced prayer, which was amplified by the presence of the migraine, dissolved. Dissolved. It's like a puzzle. And the beauty of the puzzle is you get really strong, deep feedback. The 3 principles you need to embrace to have it work well. There is a quickening occurring. If you bring yourself into coherence, so the major elements of your spirit, your mind, and your body are working in harmony together towards similar or the same purpose and prayer, then you will experience this exact phase, this exact timing, this exact cycle as beautiful, loving, fun, blissful. Now, I still need to be left alone. I'm still very fragile. A misplaced annoyance still triggers me deeply. I feel it. Everything's quickened. Everything's amplified. And I'm not centered and coherent enough to be impervious to negative stimuli. So I'm still very extra empathic at those times. So I still ask my family to give me space. I sit with my back against a wall for hours. But oh, whoa, can cool stuff happen during those hours. Number 2, you're searching for contrasts. You're searching for the ways in which different aspects of yourself contradict. Now, there are lots of other layers to this, and I don't fully know how to go into it all at once. In fact, I'm not going to. So what we're doing is we're launching a migraine study group. And I'm going to invite you to join. It's going to be present in the space, so you do have to join the sanctuary. And as you do, there will be a private group that you just have to sign up for intentionally. People aren't allowed to lurk. So you basically just have to ask and make the commitment to participate. But we don't want people just lurking on this one, because there's a deeper commitment going on here. And in this, we're going to do things that we're going to track, we're going to share, we're going to talk about what we're learning each time this occurs. We're going to reveal ourselves a little more deeply in order to get help working in there and understanding the contrasts, identifying them even in the moments between the cycles. It's really hopeful. I'm very inspired. And it's going to include things like the yoga practice. Just posted. It's really wonderful, not just when you're in pain, but it's a good practice for anyone who gets in this level of pain because it specifically emphasizes incredible subtlety in how you tune in to the forces that are present in your physical body. And by establishing that deeper kind of subtle rhythm, you become present to these forces before they hurt. And in many cases, you can decode them and harmonize the contrast before it becomes pain. You're invited. Within that, I remind you, this is the last invitation to do a legacy membership. We're just going to raise the rate a little. Everybody who gets a legacy membership keeps the legacy membership indefinitely. It's what you get. And then the next level, same thing, and then we'll raise that again. So consider the people who are in at legacy. I'm really going to encourage you all to be willing to be mentors to everyone who comes in next. We'll talk about that more in the sanctuary. Excellent. This is all part of my intention to become more coherent, less stratospheric, less addicted to the extremes, which I always have been, more present in a way that's actually more functionally in service for you. And I am excited to take on that challenge to mature in this way. And I'm open to questions and even conversation about this theme. I'll keep it going, but please, to any extent that you are inspired now or would like to look more deeply into the themes I've shared, ask. Hey, energy being Kevin, welcome here. Welcome here. See, listen to this statement. Energy being Kevin says, I was so behind my peers. And Source said, that is where you are supposed to be. All the pressure gone. The idea, the concept of being behind your peers is a concept. It means understanding yourself in relation to other people based on certain values, right? So I'm behind. What am I behind? I'm behind every single person who drives because I can't drive. I don't see clearly enough to drive well. I am at the back of the pack. If I woke up every day and said, I live in a world of drivers and I suck at it, wow. But why do I have to do that? I don't have to do that. This is the kind of thing we're fishing for. The idea of identified in a particular way during a time of quickening will raise the energy in a way that amplifies that. It will start to hurt. And the reason it hurts is because there's a better option. And part of your spirit is saying, I'm not going to let go of the better option. Really get this part. This is like a missing piece. And thank you for inspiring me to make it, amplify it, Kevin. You could let go of a healthier path and the pain would stop. Part of the reason you're still in pain is because part of you is refusing to let go of what a deep unconscious spirit knows is better. Think of it this way. What's a song that you liked when you were 10? Think of it. Think of the song. Get it running in your head. What if you're listening to a song you like and you start hearing me sing that? Fuck off, Daniel. Stop it. You're hurting me. What if you hear that because you're still listening to your other song? Really? I'm singing, I am the wishing well, traveled time to tell, open hearts can see. Embrace the radiance, live in the sacred dance tune with we. In order to be present with what I'm singing, you have to let go of what you were hearing. And particularly if I'm singing from a space that's like a whole order of, it's in a different way, it has a different dimension of awareness, it's going to seem particularly conflicting within yourself. If I stop singing, you will stop experiencing the tension of that incoherence. But then you will not gain the ability to go in this new direction. In order to, you have to be willing to let something in you die. And ultimately, that amounts to allowing that which is still in you that is out of coherence with love. Because the love of your heart and your spirit is praying to become something that's in tune with who you are now. So migraines become a very deep opportunity to stare honestly at the ways in which you're carrying baggage and continuing to identify with it. And that baggage often amounts to understanding yourself. You're saying, I am this, in relation to things that they're arguably gone. You're keeping them alive by feeding them your life force, but on their own, they have no life force. They are not feeding you intrinsically. And it's like we have this magical ability to resuscitate old parts of ourselves by giving it, by feeding it our blood. But we have to be able to stare more honestly at these different elements of ourself and ask, is this sustaining in and of itself? Is this feeding me on its own? And as you do that, you will start to recognize these zombie-esque elements of yourself that have no life of their own. They are intrinsically dead, but you can make them look alive by feeding them your current power, blood, spiritual essence. And when you do that, you're very weak ultimately, day to day. And the migraine quickening times expose that in a way that gives you a chance to make new choices and let your old self skin die. Several of you have been seeing snakes. That's what snake means to me. Time to shed a skin. That's one of the first messages I get from snakes. Now they tell you something different, like you tune in to the spirit of the snake. A snake spirit. All right. Look, animals are not animals are not animals. All right. You see an animal, you're immediately in touch with the spirit of that species. So what you want to do is see the animal's visitation to you as an invitation to connect with the spirit of the species. You see the animal, then say, hey, snake spirit, what do you got to tell me? They almost always first focus me on shedding a skin. Snakes know how to shed skins. It's like the death of a flower for the winter and the rebirth of a new one. Angie and Tom, listen to what you're saying. I love. So look, this is okay, because I'm thinking of another two of you who I could just immediately be present and say, this is where I would encourage you to look. To what extent are you holding ways in which you have been wronged in the past? And, oh, you were wronged. You were wronged. You were done wrong. It wasn't fair. You weren't treated right. Period. It's true. But are you holding a grudge? Who's that serve? Who's that serve? Anger at someone in your past is like a screaming presence of, like, what are you doing? Last year, a year ago, I was contacted by an ex, and she brought up something that happened with us. And I found myself for several weeks, like I went on a tirade out loud here in my office, like screaming at her. It triggered me so deeply. And I am so committed to this way of understanding it. I let myself feel it, but I like watched it like, dude, really? Like, really? You still want to be there? And because I let myself feel it, like actually feel it, dude. Like get alone, scream at them like they're here, but keep this awareness. Like, really? Like, no, beat it. There's no need to argue. I love it. I love it. It's so beautiful. Oh, bless your heart. Energy being Kevin, this is my job. It's a blessing to be a part of the web of life here in this. I have to say, I am going to tell you, I I have I want to get to your questions and not be so indulgent. That's what I do. I'm too self-indulgent. That's part of my problem. That's what I wanted to stay. I like it. I like riding energy in life. But are there any questions? Shed shells. I love it. I'm a triple fire sign. Aries, Aries, Sagittarius. So look, okay, good. Here's what I learned. I watched a little clip by Teal Swan. Dude, I hate the cycle. I listened to her a little. I'm like, oh wow, cool. We're part of the same calling, the same movement. And then, like, after like a couple days, I'm usually like, fuck her. She doesn't share. Like everything vortex isn't on her when I think about her, and I have to indulge every stray thought she has. Cut it out. And then I'm like, wait, that's what I do. Oh shit, that's my reflection. Ah, it just goes in this stupid cycle. She said something beautiful about what it feels like to allow other people to be great at what they are good at and to be quiet. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You're talking all the time. And then I'm like, what am I talking about? I'm talking all the time. And then I'm like, it's okay. This is what I do. It helps draw things together. May I may I bow my head and be present when I'm not actually the best person to be talking and sharing, and allow that to happen well. And I want you all to know that. Yeah, I'm just so deeply committed to it. And it's a delicate balance because it's not measurable. You can measure a crystal, how an ice crystal forms, and you can know that it literally comes into coherence around a different molecule of water. But when you look at the end result, it's not like it starts around the center all the time. Like an ice crystal can form around a particular molecule of water. They magnetize to that molecule, but then the crystal can reach out this way, or it could be a third of the way in, or it could be right near the center. There's no necessary path to how that part works. It's my job to like call this togetherness. And in the process, I'm sharing everything that I've got that's valuable as a foundation, as a common language. I'm glad to. Trevor, no, I wouldn't say so. I'd say it could mean a lot of things. What you want, for sure, is the quickening. The quickening is happening on several levels. First of all, it's happening globally. There is a global energetic snake of sorts. I see it. It was introduced to me very vibrantly in a dream. And once I saw it then, I started seeing it in multiple contexts. Just utterly amazing. And the principle is it's like an energetic, people say the kundalini of the earth. I mean, it's different because it's the earth, but it's a vibrant metaphor. It's this dancing energy that's amplifying whatever it passes through. And I was being shown how wherever it goes, protests and activism erupts. But here's the thing, like it could be in one area and that becomes war because people get activated on an extent and the context is not available to keep that within a range of peace. And the same energy can go through somewhere else and it does stay within a peaceful range. So Gaia is making these choices to say, I've got to shake this up. The system here is too broken. She'll push it through violence. She's an intense creature. And she knows where it's going and she knows we're reborn. But she wants the love to win. When we tune into this process, it's amplification within ourselves. So as we tune into that process, we begin to experience a personal version of this. And we can experience it, even though the energy is passing through town, it will affect some people much less than others. So you want to know my revelation, my teaching here, the teaching that I'm being given to share is that you do want to be called into solitude for a day periodically. And you want to allow for that, even if it seems to break your schedule. So you're called into a depth where you really need to be left alone, and you're vibrant. You're more powerful. Your statements have more weight within you. You can make choices with a deeper cut. You can say no to things and it sticks. You can say yes and you receive revelations. These things, yes, strive for. If you get there without pain, good for you. You've been living in a greater, deeper coherence. Respect. So what you do, the letting go is in hugging her, Alora. The inner child who's been wounded has a shadow. And you have to know this about yourself because it's true for everyone. The inner child who's been wounded has a shadow that fucking hates. And you have to know this as yourself. Everyone I've dealt with trauma has this. You can always identify it. Our relationship to this shadow can be different. Most of you are likely in a relationship where you wrestle with your shadow and you experience it as pain because you have a kicking and screaming, hateful little child inside you. That kicking and screaming, hateful little child needs to be held. That kicking and screaming, hateful little child has a knife and it needs to be disarmed. You have to be able to do both those things. And sometimes you have to do them inside the experience of a migraine. And the act of becoming mature in a way that does that, that's the spiritual work. You're not abandoning. You are uniting. That in that hug, a unity begins to develop. That child wants to cry and surrender, but that child is on fight or flight, adrenaline mode all the time in spirit. That child is saying, you better fucking protect me all the time. And that child needs to know you're strong enough to do that. These are needs. So the act of becoming the person who can be strong enough to presence spiritual groundedness that's more intense than the pain. This is how it becomes a challenge to take it to the next level. There's an art to it, and I believe we need to do it together much more. I'm here. I know a lot about it. I'm very open to learning tools and techniques that others of you share. No wrestling. We are on the same team. Got to be a safe space. Ground zero. Period. We could do that. We've got it. We got the foundations. So we could do it. That's just a start, Laura. The whole point is we're taking this into the sanctuary. You know, to add, Tali just is connected with some people on this about children. And I think the exact same lesson goes for the inner child. You could start with a thank you. You could look at that inner child and go, thank you, fierce warrior. Thank you, fierce priestess. You are strong and angry in order to protect us, me. That's where that child is coming from. That child is trying to become the strength to never get hurt like that again. It's coming from an absolutely awesome space. Start with thank you. That's how you're going to get the hug to start to work. Because that child is also somehow conscious that they're not really the best person, but they're challenging us. My angry inner child is challenging me to own the presence and strength to match whatever our pain and fear is. It's a very mathematical measurement. It's beautiful. We can figure it out. We can reach it and attain it. And once it's attained, the inner child will unite, reunite. So let's do it, guys. I'm excited to embark on this journey. Alora's already set up the group. We'll figure out the practicalities. I do want it to be a place of not lurking. So just asking for a commitment. The theme is that We're going to share as honestly as feel comfortable when it happens. Ideally, close to the time it happens. I even encourage to share from the space. I reached out to Alora and said, Alora, it's time to change, make this, and this change that I'd been dawdling on within the migraine. And when I did that, I staked my claim to the new choice and the pain went away. It's really special. When you recognize your potential, something very crucial happens. And this is a final piece. I didn't think I was going to share this, but I'm absolutely being guided to. Demons are real. Nasty, sick, the term of the day is narcissists, abusers are real. They cannot hurt us unless we haven't done the work. We expose ourselves to be present in the dimensional space that they're a part of. It's very much like the upside down world, Stranger Things. The evil being in Stranger Things connects to people through their trauma. What that show doesn't, flesh out is that the reason he can connect to people through their trauma is it's feeding the potential of that person to give in to the angry, abused side of themselves and embody abuse themselves. It's karmic. It's physics. It's karmic spiritual physics. That when you're hurt badly, a part of you, your shadow self, starts by investing in this warrior presence. And then that grows to the point where you run the risk of losing all perspective and becoming an abusive person yourself. And if you don't know this about yourself, you got to know this about yourself. I sense that all of you are close enough to have this awareness. It's physics. It's not awful. It is awful, but understand it. Demons are real. Narcissists are real. They engage us through that connection. So when you encounter a demon or a narcissist, you could A, focus on how awful they are, or B, use that as a trigger to look deeply within yourself, stare very honestly at the healing you need to do, get all the way down into the presence of the inner child. Say thank you for being a fierce warrior. No, you're not taking over. You lack all perspective and run the risk of hurting other people too much. Bear hug, drop the knife. I love you. There is our scientific methodology. It works. Word. I love you guys. That's it. That's it. I am going to see many of you in the sanctuary very soon. Kevin, welcome. Please consider joining us. I will add, when we incarnate with someone who plays this role of an abuser, of a narcissist, to get to the depth where you can accept, you got to be in relation to that force from this broadened perspective. It is, nope, I'm getting that. Yes, I'm so excited. No, I'm not going to teach this now. It's too much. I reached the end. I'm getting better at my boundaries. I love you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Be sharing the invite in the reading space of the sanctuary. Much love.